and today I'm bringing you a guide to OBS for everyone that needs it. Primarily you YouTubers out there, because you know OBS can be daunting at first, but it's actually really simple to use. Alright, Open Broadcaster software, not only can you stream it, but you can do a file output. Not only is this going to apply for Windows users, it's going to apply for Mac users as well. Although I cannot guarantee the settings will be perfect for a Mac, because you know, Macs are completely different specs to Windows. So just see how the settings do, because the settings I am going to go for are it doesn't matter what kind of computer you have, even if mine's a low-end computer, but the majority of the specs are recommended that you do because they work. I've got a friend that has the exact same settings as me, and he's got a mid to high. It works absolutely smoothly. So the settings I will go through later in the video are going to be recommended standard settings. Some of the settings will be default, some won't. Alright, I'm also going to go over Elgato as well, because you can record via Elgato with OBS. Okay, so first of all I'm going to go over the HUD and what it looks like. Now the reason why it's got a repeating window is because I'm using OBS to record OBS, so I can show you guys stuff. Okay, stuff of OBS. Okay, now the majority of the features are for, well, it's kind of 50-50 split between the features between what you can use for streaming and just a YouTube video. Alright, because some of the features are mainly for streaming, but you can use them if you want. Okay, so before I start, for Mac users, okay, this is my part about Mac. What you're seeing here is Windows, so your interface will be ever so slightly different. I know that for a fact because I've actually seen what it looks like. You know, if you can't find something, you're just gonna have to look through everything in terms of the settings, because I know your settings layout is different. I don't know if they're called the same though, but I know that it's slightly different. The main HUD here is different as well. I know that for a fact. Okay, so you've got your start streaming, you've got your stop recording and start recording. That's self-explanatory. To start the stream or to start a video. Okay, and stop it, of course. Alright. Now I'm using OBS's. This here is mic, so as I'm speaking, as you can see, you know, it is just in the green line on the. How loud is getting? Because I can go really loud. Okay. So you can alter the mic volume like that, and also the desktop volume as well. But you won't be hearing any of that because there's nothing actually. There's no like actual game playing. Okay. Like as in game audio or monitor audio. Right. I could do volume mixer. Alright. Let's move that way. Okay. There we go. See? That's demonstration of audio for you. Okay. So as you see, the green bar goes up there as well, so it works the same. Now usually I don't use OBS mic this feature here, because what that makes it is it makes one track for the video and the audio. What I like doing is I have Audacity and I record with one track of for my commentary and everything else, just in case something happens with the voiceover. Okay, maybe a cat meows or something, you know, or you know, there might be a car alarm going off outside and I don't want that in the recording, so I would edit that out, you know. Okay, you see here, previous stream. Mac, I believe you don't have this feature. You might do, but it might be in a different place. I just haven't seen it. Alright? Because what I've seen from people with Mac is they don't have a preview stream. Okay, that might have been an older version though. You never know. Okay, so preview stream practically means when you're setting up your video, you can preview it instead of making a file. It doesn't make a file, it just previews it within OBS, and that's a really nice feature that other softwares don't have. And the good thing about OBS is it's free. What I say at the start, completely free to download. Mac, Linux, Windows. Alright. So down at the bottom we have 650. So we've been recording for about 7 minutes ish. Drop frames, FPS, and you know, kilobytes per second, and the green box I'm going to explain in the next few minutes. Right. So drop frames practically means if your settings are wrong, you're getting drop frames, so you're getting lag practically. It will tell you. It will tell you the FPS because I've set the FPS at 30. Okay, because I'm on a low-end gaming laptop, which has a weird resolution, which I'll show you later on in the video. That being green, perfectly okay. Green is good. Does change colour, it means there's something wrong. It usually goes with your kilobytes per second, because as you can see we're doing 5050 kilobytes per second, which is about, I don't know, is it 5,000? Yeah. So it's about 500 megabytes per second. Or is it 50? Something like that. So that'll go like red or something if there's something wrong with your drop frames, so those two kind of interlace with each other. And also if you have a CPU usage outbreak, it will come up with a red thing down the bottom here. Okay. Before I move on to settings, okay, I'm going to show you this here and scenes and sources. So your edit scene means exactly you can edit your scene. So your scene is what you're seeing practically. If I click that and I've edited the scene, that red box appears. Why? Because you can move it about. You can press Control, resize it to your need. Okay, you can also crop it, pressing Alt, go into the sides, crop it at your will. Okay. Just like you can do it in Photoshop, do that. Okay. Not many people, when they do guides to OBS, they don't go over this. Hence why this guide should be better than the majority of guides. Okay, so then I'll press Control again, I can do that. Press Edit Scene again, that red box disappears. Okay, global sources you don't need to worry about. Plugins, however, you can add other plugins to do other stuff. It's really for streamers that have other plugins to do other fancy stuff. Okay, for YouTube you don't need to do fancy stuff in your videos, really. Alright, it's all to do with the editing is YouTube, and streaming is live fancy stuff that, you know, it does. So it's kind of live editing is streaming, rather than YouTube is take your time with editing, because there's an art to editing, and you know, you need to get it right for your videos to be good. Should be good anyway. Right, scenes, excuse me, and sources. So your scenes is what it is. What is it? Okay, so as you can see, I've got World of Warships, Payday 2, Battlefield 3, Grid of the Sport. I've got this for OBS tutorial. So as you can see, as I selected them, it went to a black screen just because, you know, the window isn't open. So OBS tutorial, when I preview or start it, you know, does this. Okay. Now, when you are recording a monitor and you are using a dedicated graphics card, for example, I have an NVIDIA GeForce 840M 2GB graphics card, because I'm on a laptop, as I've said previously. I've got a low end, so it's a low end graphics card. You sometimes get a black screen. Why? Because OBS doesn't like it. Because you're doing your monitor. It doesn't need extra graphics to do your main window. It uses your Intel window, and in games it uses your graphics card. Okay, right, so if I minus that, so to fix this, all you do, bring up the menu by right clicking and run with graphics processor integrated graphics. That's what you want to click instead of high performance NVIDIA processor, or if you've got AMD, it'll be AMD. Okay, that's what you want to do. Alright, due to the fact that it just comes up with a black screen, and that's what you do if you want to record this. Because I actually started recording just before this, and I was like, oh, it's got a black screen, I'm gonna have to restart OBS, which doesn't take long. It takes like 5 seconds to load up, which is fine. Alright, so your sources, you've got different kinds of sources. So if I right click, I can add, and we've got different sources. Okay, depending on what you're going to be showing. Of course, some of these will apply for YouTubers, but some of these will be used for streaming as well. Okay, so window capture captures an individual window. Okay, so I refresh it, boom, Films and TV Explorer and Photos. Okay, you can capture those if you wanted to. However, this integrates with game capture, which you would expect to be just a game. But actually, if we add a game capture, it brings up with all my other programs. So we've got Audacity, we've got Premiere, Steam, Skype. So if it isn't in window capture, try game capture. Then should work. Okay, so if I have Audacity, for example, oh, it probably isn't gonna see. Oh yeah, that's because, you know, I'm doing monitor capture, isn't it? If I do that, sometimes it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. But if you did want to, you know, you've got monitor capture. So window capture is if you've got a game in windowed mode, practically. That's when you use it. Otherwise, just use monitor capture for a desktop tutorial, like how to mod GTA 5 on PC, or how to mod Euro Truck Simulator 2 on PC. You know, stuff like that. those desktop cam tutorials, just do it through that. Alright. Next in the list we have an image. So if you wanted just to broadcast one image, that's fine. I mean, if you wanted to in the YouTube video to broadcast an image in your layout, then fine. It's used for streaming really, for an overlay. So you would import your overlay. Okay. Image slideshow is exactly what it is. It's like the image before, but it's a slideshow. Text just shows text, and you can have it scrolling and what speed you want it to do. Again, that's really used for streaming as well, because as I said before, the majority of these features are gonna be streamers, 50-50 between streamers and YouTubers. CLR browser used to be for capturing web browsers individually, like window capture, but it's primarily used for what's called Twitch alerts. For you streamers, you know what I'm talking about. Twitch alerts practically means so we bring that up. It'll take a second. Got this here. Got your URL. So that's your Twitch alerts URL. Okay. That's just the code. Okay. For your Twitch alerts. So Twitch alerts tells you when you have a follower, when you have a donation, when you have a subscriber, those things. Okay. So YouTubers, you don't need to worry about that. But I'm not going through, you know, how to stream as of yet. Okay, this video is primarily, majority towards YouTubers. Okay, next we have video capture device. Okay, now what is that? Now this, at the start of the video I mentioned Elgato. This, my friends, is where you find your Elgato. You want to select that in a source. I have my webcam. I also have XSplit Broadcaster as well in my drop down menu. If your device, for example, if your Elgato is connected, make sure you click refresh and make sure it's connected properly, and it should come into the drop down menu. Just select it. Okay, just do that. Alright. For your Elgato, there is one setting you need to change entirely of this. I've disabled my audio input device. That's because I don't use my webcam or anything. I don't use video capture device. But for Elgato, you want to use buffering. You want to select that to 1. Okay, it's a little trick. And then you don't need to change anything else. But for the Elgato, it should appear in the drop down menu. Okay. And of course, game capture is game capture if it's full screen, because as I've said, if it's in window, use window capture. Alright, so that's the HUD kind of thing. You do have your record, you can open your recordings folder. That's to get up your settings. Always on top, just keeps OBS on top, full screen preview mode. Alright, you can have different profiles which don't alter your scenes and sources, but they alter the settings. Okay, so now we're going to move on to settings. So general, your language obviously, setting profile, got mine on recording, because I've got one for streaming and recording, even though I don't stream. So, encoding. This, for video encoding, this can differ. I have 3. These 3, or 2, or 1 maybe, will differ depending on your computer. Okay, you really want your times 264. Okay, but I use QuickSync because it's best for my performance. Okay, what I recommend you do is you record maybe 5 minutes. Or if you're looking at OBS as well, because it'll tell you if you've got high CPU usage, etc. As I said in the error message down here, and drop frames, just make sure they're alright. And just play about with the actual encoder itself. For example, I found that on some games, you know, actually the majority of games, quick sync is my best setting. Okay? You want to use CBR, and you want your maximum bitrate to be 5000. Okay? As I've said before, this is the recommended settings. Okay? It doesn't matter on your computer spec. Your codecs, AAC, not MP3, and you want 48 kilohertz. You want your bitrate to be 128, and you want your channel to be stereo, because let's admit it, who records their audio in mono? Nobody. Okay, so that's it for that. OBS settings, just new. Now, when you first fire up OBS, it will look something like this. This is to live stream to Twitch. So if you're a streamer, you'd usually do Twitch, and your nearest place, mine's London, your stream key, auto connect, 10-second timeout, no delay. That must be ticked. That must be ticked. Your file path. Now, what you can do when streaming, you can record your stream at the same time, so that's handy. So I've got a recording for that, I'll tell you about that in a minute. So this is for your streamers out there. Replay buffer length should be 1 setting. 1 second, sorry. And your replay buffer as well. Okay. It says my settings aren't optimized to use with Twitch. Well, I don't need to worry about this because I don't stream. So I just use file output only, which only does local recordings. Okay, what you want to do is you want to hit browse and select your recordings folder. Okay, and it will do recordings 1, recordings 2, stuff like that. And recordings 2 is this current video, by the way. And what it will be is it will be a .flv file. You don't want that because it will be weird when you're editing. You want an MP4 file. Okay, and then you're going to have to call it something because when you press save it doesn't do anything. So, recording, okay, recording, save. And that's the same with your replay buffer. Just do it the same. I'll create a folder called replay buffer, and that's perfectly okay. Just save it wherever you want your videos to be. Okay. So it might be on a pen drive, or it might be on a disk drive. You know, it might be on a different drive, and you know, it might be a particular 4D one. Anywhere you want them to be stored, so you can remember. Oh yeah, my video is stored here. So when you bring it into maybe Premiere, Final Cut Pro, if you're on Mac, that is, Windows Movie Maker, you know, any editing software, you want to know where your videos are stored. So make sure that's that. For video, you want to choose your video adapter. Mine is the NVIDIA GeForce 840M 2GB graphics card, as I've mentioned before. Now I mentioned my resolution is really weird. Look at that, 1366 by 768. It's a laptop, so what do you expect? Look at that aspect ratio, 683 to 384. That's just wow. Just wow. I recommend doing it to your custom base resolution. You can do your monitor if you want. If you have multiple monitors, you know, you can select which monitor. Okay. For your resolution downscale, to release stress off your processor, you'll want to downscale it at least once. Okay, so my resolution downscale is to 1092 by 614. Okay. So as it says there, downscale can improve the quality with the cost of resolution, but I don't mind. I record mine at 1092 by 614 because it actually is okay, because all my videos are recorded like that, including this one you're viewing right now. Okay, for your filter you want it to be fastest. Okay, your FPS is 30 unless you know your computer can handle 60 FPS and you've got a 1080p monitor, you know. Because usually your downscale would go to, you know, 720, you know, something like that. But you know, mine just doesn't. Just doesn't. Okay. Audio. Whatever your desktop audio device is, set to that. Same with your microphone. Mine's default, but you know, whichever one you've set as default or anything like that, select it from the drop down menu. You can disable it if you want. I just do show only connected devices if I want to take that. Okay, push to talk. If you have a push to talk, you want 200 milliseconds. Your desktop boost, just audio, you want it 1 and 1 for your mic and your desktop. Your mic sync offset, you want 0. Okay. Hotkeys. If you want to set hotkeys for certain things, you can. So start a scene, stop a tune, start a recording, stop a recording, start a replay buffer, stop a replay buffer, save a replay buffer, record from replay buffer. If you want to, fine. Okay? It's up to you. It's all opinionated, is that? Now we go to advanced, and this is where everyone's like, what? What you want about? Well. Just follow these settings and you'll be fine. Because let's admit it right now, if my computer can handle it, so can yours. Okay? Unless you have a worse computer than mine, that will be saying something. Okay. The general, you want to use your multi-threaded optimizations. I know what all of these mean, I'm not going to explain them. Okay. You want your process priority class to normal. Okay. You want your scene buffering time, milliseconds to 3500. I may have mentioned this before, some of these settings are default, some you might have to tweak. Alright, I should have said that at the start. I think I did. I might not have. Just to clarify. Okay. Disable encoding while previewing. You want that unticked. Okay, you want it to encode while previewing. Okay. Tick allow other modifiers on hotkeys. That should already be ticked, I believe. Moving on to video. Quick sync preset. Now when I went through this with a friend, he had slightly different settings, so it wasn't 7 best speed. So choose best speed. Okay, for your quick sync preset. You want your encoding profile to be main. Your keyframe interview to be 2 seconds. You want to use your CFR. You want custom quick sync encoder settings unticked. Okay. You don't want encoding full range ticked. Again, this setting will be slightly different. Allow 61 to 120 FPS entry in video settings. I've got that ticked. That 61 to 120 FPS will differ depending on computer because my friend had it slightly different. Okay. For audio, force desktop audio to use video timestamps as a base for audio time That sounds confusing, but you want it unticked and you want the milliseconds to be 0 for global audio sync offset. Use mic QPC timestamps unticked. That should be default, I believe. Might not be. It's a long time since I've had to I've actually seen default. The network automatically low latency mode unticked. Bind to interface is default. Your latency tuning factor is 20. And disable TCP send window optimization is unticked. Okay. Good. Because that's the most complicated stuff you need to know. I know the majority of the stuff, what they mean, but you don't really need to know what they mean. As long as you've got the right settings, you're fine. Okay, some may argue that you do need to know what they do, but these settings work completely fine. Right, quick sync encoder. I don't use, so don't do anything with that. Your browser don't use, so don't do anything with that. Now your microphone noise gate, as you can see, for the thresholds you can differ depending on how many decibels you want it to cap at. Okay, so my closed threshold is negative 32 decibels, and my open threshold is negative 26 decibels. Okay. So it mutes the signal once it goes below the closed threshold of the gate, and unmutes it when it goes above the open threshold. Okay, so that's quite important. Okay, now in terms of decibels and sound, you don't want anything above 0 decibels because that's too loud. Put it approximately at negative 32 and negative 26. If you want to use that. Alright, you don't have to use this, but you can. So enable the noise gate is text, your attack time in milliseconds is 25, your hold time is 200, and your release time is 150. Okay. So, that's fine. Scene switcher, we're now going to move on to. Is really for streamers. It's for, you know, fancy scene switching, which you don't need to know of. Okay. So that, guys, is OBS. I have covered the settings, the base settings, what you need to do. I've covered Mac. I've also covered Elgato. I've covered what everything means. Okay. This is still in beta, believe it or not, in version 0.657b. B meaning beta. Alright, they do the occasional update, so when you fire it up it says OBS just updates, and it fires itself up again automatically. So that's a good feature. So people have been saying, you know, my audio hasn't been recording. Make sure you've selected the right mic in audio. So this, make sure you've selected, not that one, that one. If you selected the mic, so you know, I've got a Turtle Beach headset, so I've set mine for default, so mine's default. So make sure that's ticked, okay, or selected, should I say, and the same with the audio, the actual audio itself. Make sure the actual desktop audio is up. If you record like I do, like a separate track by using Audacity, for this video I'm not, just to show you the mic, then you know you'd have this off. Okay. So just make sure you've selected the right mic and it's the default. If not, just select as your default what you want to do. Right click on here. No, you right click on your thing, and then you go to playback devices. On my speakers on the Realtek high definition. Recording, my mic. Okay. Default device. Okay. So make sure that is that, because it's the only microphone that's actually plugged in. It does have its built-in wire microphone, but I use my Turtle Beach headset. Okay. Guys, I do hope I've covered everything. If you did and you enjoyed this, please leave a like. Comment below if you thought this was helpful. Have I covered everything? Could the video be improved somehow? Please comment below. If you found this really helpful, it saved your day with OBS, you enjoyed this, you'd like to see more content, please subscribe if you haven't already. And guys, I'll be seeing you in the next video.